maybe to pan off that why chiropractors suck, and you had mentioned it too, is like the pushy nature that sometimes, because, well, man, this kind of encompasses everything, because yes, we are chiropractors, but there's also like a sales portion to it, because we have to talk, we have to tell them like, hey, here's the money. So
sorry, we have to take your money.
like, but it's like, hey, this is the game plan. This is what it costs. It's different than sales. It's just like, no, this is just what it is.
Right.
Yeah, so I do think that was a good point. Like the encompassing parts of what we have to do as chiropractors, like those are the sucky parts.
Yeah.
Like the adjustment and the technique, like that stuff is cool.
Yeah,
like
I wish I could just do that.
It's safe
nonstop.
and good.
Yeah. Like the pushiness, pushiness is maybe what puts people off of like, okay, I'm out of pain, but my chiropractor wants me to keep coming in. He's like, telling me I need to come see him for 5 more years.
And that can be a huge turnoff.
Yeah. And I'm that way too, because usually I'm like, this is from my sister, like, show me the line so that I know what to cross, and it's like, if somebody tells me something to do, I will likely not do it just because they told me to do that.
Nature.
Yeah. I'm pissed off when my mechanic says you got to get the oil changed every 5,000 miles.
Right. Ugh. But it's more of just laying that out and being like, hey, here are the options. It's your choice. Right. Rich, you should probably, my recommendation would be come back every other week, once a month.
Yeah.
It's up to you.
Right.
This is what it costs. Let Mary know.
Yeah. I think it's all comes down to like a true conversation with the patient. Like I had one gal come in. I'm like, what do you want to do here? And she's like, yeah, I just want like a couple adjustments and see what happens. I'm like, great, let's do that. Yeah, and she came in for more.
I think people are like surprised when we tell them that, because they're like, oh, you're not going to like, I don't have to come in for like 3 months.
Right.
Yeah.
One thing that I've experienced and I've heard from other people, I guess you'd call it just patient care or like attention in the actual session, whether it be real quick and snappy and like in and out, 3 minutes later, they didn't even like really assess me. They just looked at me and said, well, I do this for everybody, so I'm going to adjust you the same way. Right. And that, I think I've experienced it. It's terrible. And that you get that with other doctors though too, will go in and like, you didn't even touch me. Like, how do you like, can you give me some feeling that you care? Right.
I'd say it's worse in other industries than like,
oh yeah, I would agree. I walked in and they're like, sit down.
Yeah.
What's wrong? I'm like, oh, well, my shoulder. Okay. Boom, boom, boom. And then I'm out. I'm like, well, that sucked. I'll never see you again.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's I'm glad you brought that up. We didn't even talk about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like the flying 7. Dun, dun, dun.
Ooh,
that's what they call it when you do like the same
the 7
routine
things that you do.
Which, yeah, I actually just had a conversation with a patient last week on this, and she's like, oh, I went to this chiropractor, and it seemed like it was just like quick in and out.
Usually cheaper than the average cost, $29 special.
Get what you pay for.
You do get what you pay for. But I did my assessment on her. I adjusted her, and I made sure I had the conversation. I'm like, hey, to be honest, just to preface, like the adjustment itself doesn't take very long.
Right.
Like, just so you know, like it's not going to take very long.
Yeah.
Like, of course, our appointment times, like I came from a different clinic that was a little bit faster times, which is great for them. I just found it wasn't for me.
Right. Can I put my hand up?
Yeah.
Like they had efficiencies in place to allow them to be quick.
Sure.
And like getting adjusted by him.
What were those?
Huh?
What were those efficiencies?
I mean, you guys had structures in place. Like someone takes care of the exam, and that gets passed along to the doc who's doing the treatments.
Infrastructure,
and
right?
Yeah. And so I think that it depends on the clinic too. Like some clinics can afford to be quick like that because they got stuff set up. Personally, like I want a little bit more than that, but I actually don't want much more.
Sure.
Because there's some some providers that they take 30 minutes, 45, hour and a half. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
No, but they're not just doing the adjustment. They're doing other things too. So you got to define like what your treatment style is to patients too.
Yep.
And I would say we are on the quicker side of things.
Yeah, if you were to take an average.
But we refer people out for that other stuff.
Sure.
Because we want to focus on the adjustment because technically we're good at that.
Right.
And I see that being my focus.
But regardless of your style, what I would appreciate it as a patient is that upfront conversation. Like, this is what we do and how we do it. And then everything add on to that might be out, or maybe another session, or like, well, this is how it's going to go. Just like the expectations of taking 3 minutes and doing that goes a million miles as a patient. My opinion.
Even the 15 seconds, because I had another new patient last week that, I go over, we have a conversation. I go over what it is that I'm going to be looking for, and then check her.
The S word.
Yes. But I just kind of showed her like how her hip should function.
Yeah.
How her low back should function. And I didn't even get 10 seconds into that conversation. She's like, you already taught me more than my last chiropractic experience.
That's awesome.
So it's like, in how long that took me, and you can even do that in between adjustments. And I've done it with you, like with your foot. I showed you my foot model, like, hey, I'm actually going to adjust this bone right here because it's not moving this way. And how much that changes their experience, because it's not like, hey, get on the table, go face down, crack, crack, see you later, see you on Wednesday.
Yep.
See you,
Right.
And it doesn't take much longer,
right.
But I think that's where people get that different experience.
It's your intention.
It's your intention.
Yeah.
Yes.
I want to say one thing about the flying 7 thing. If you just adjust people and get out of the way, they're going to do better. So to defend the flying 7 angle, like sometimes people just need a little physical like improvement. Like let's adjust them lightly in these areas. Can we even decipher like, okay, is this the segment or is this the segment to adjust? And some argue you can't. And I would say there is some validity to that. But like if your intention is to like be as specific as you can and adjust people well, there's, benefit to that in our opinion.
And I wouldn't say, I didn't mean to put a negative connotation on the flying 7 either.
I don't think
it's just kind of like what it's called.
Yeah.
Right. It's what like it's known. And we have patients that's come in.
McDonald's of
like,
the chiropractic world.
Think of patients that just literally just want to come in, get adjusted, and be out in 3 minutes.
Get a tune-up.
Like almost no talking. It's just like, hey, how you doing? Like that's what they want. That's what they prefer, and it's just like, okay.
Yeah.
And it's not, I mean, not that you guys need the defense, but like to defend good chiropractors, it's on you then to be like, okay, this is what you need. This is what you're asking for. Then that's what we'll do.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. The wellness clinics out there, they're super fun. They have good vibes and people come in because they're feeling good and they want to continue that.
Yep.
And we're kind of like, I would say 60 to 80% of like wellness patients. And then the other is like acute care. Like I tweak something, I feel like crap and I need help.